world is what it is today because aloneness, solitude, meditation is a scarce culture. People jump out of their bed in the morning and rush out into the world and get busy and get tired at night, crawl up into their bed without a moment of aloneness, a moment of solitude, a moment of prospection or reflection in meditation. We are too much in a hurry in this generation and we are missing out a lot about ourselves, about our lives. But many of the world's great leaders, visionaries, successes, change makers had to pass through continuous moments of reflection, continuous moments of solitude in meditation, where they were trained, shaped, and given visions that transformed the world. It is in the place of solitude that we amass our true wealth, enormous enough to transcend and outlast even to our fourth generation. We are too much in a hurry in this generation and we are missing out a lot about ourselves, about our lives. I feel like I need to share the need why we should be alone, why we should find seclusion, find solitude in ourselves, by ourselves, in order to tap into the potential locked right within us. There are unbelievable treasures locked right in the place of solitude, right in the place of meditation, that only our decision to adopt this attitude can unlock. The journey of being alone is about clarity, about discovery of purpose, and about meeting our true selves. We find purpose and meaning in solitude because it is in solitude that we can hear that inner, still, small voice that is always dampened and faded in the noise, but is louder in the place of silence. Alone in quietness is where our true revelation begins. Alone, you find strength to build courage and resilience, and meet your potential, purpose, and vision that would otherwise lie dormant. Self-discovery is one of the most beautiful things in life, but it requires solitude, time, and space. In aloneness, you discover your gifts and talents that have long been buried under the expectations of others. In aloneness, we find inner peace, which does not come easily, but in practice and discipline. Embrace isolation, because isolation is not a punishment, but a preparatory ground for the work we are meant to do on earth. Being alone is not just about self-discovery, but the discovery of the larger calling upon your life. Alone, you find clarity about the message you carry on earth. God uses solitude to place in your hands skills, tools, and knowledge that you need to fulfill your calling on earth. Silence is not empty, but full of wisdom and reflection and communion with your heart and with God. Resilience is strength forged only in solitude and empowers you for all life's storms. Alone, we learn to trust God and build faith to match up our potentials with appropriate actions. In aloneness, we find contentment, the unshakable contentment that does not rely on people, possession, or circumstances. Alone, we find joy that comes from the inner peace that we could only find in a place of solitude. Alone, we find inner strength that is stronger than any external support. In solitude, we give ourselves a chance to ask ourselves important questions like, who am I? Where am I coming from? Where am I going to? What am I really capable of? Why am I here? Who really am I? In solitude, we tap into ideas that transform our lives and our world. In solitude, we learn the discernment to spot out that not everyone who speaks well means well, and not every opportunity that is meant to be pursued. Being alone, we learn humility, as it affords us the time to apply hindsight and express gratitude. Humility alone has the potency of shaping our character and keeping us in alignment with our personal values. Alone, we are free from fear because we know that we are not alone. One of the greatest gifts of aloneness is the freedom to be our true selves. We breathe authenticity, and we are without the fear or need for external validation of who we are and what we could be. Freedom brought about by solitude brings about integrity, authenticity, and joy. Solitude is when God teaches us patience, not just with ourselves, but with others, with circumstances, and with His timing. In solitude, we find healing to the wounds of our past and find forgiveness to let go of our personal failures and people's trespasses against us. In us is a wealth of resources, including wisdom, creativity, resilience, strength, and love, much more than we can give ourselves credit for. We can only explore our inner wealth of resources in a place of solitude. It is in the place of solitude we discover that the answers we seek in this life are all already within us. Solitude is not isolation, but in fact divine protection that protects us from the influences of others that could put us in harm's way. Solitude teaches us responsibility for our lives. This responsibility is not a burden, but a gift, an opportunity for us to shape our lives intentionally. So we grow into responsible, intentional beings only in the place of solitude. We develop accountability, integrity, and ownership of our lives only in the place of solitude. Throughout history, many of God's revelations have been given in the place of solitude. In solitude, we prune proper perspectives that persevere through all pain and pleasure. It is in that place of solitude, in that spot of aloneness, in that room of meditation, we meet our true selves and discover our personal true identity and become spotted out in the crowd for our singleness, our uniqueness, and our individuality. But unfortunately, many of us do not tap in the enormous treasures locked away in that room of aloneness, that spot of meditation, that place of solitude. This is the number one cause why many of us are living far below our potential and out of our personal purpose for our birth and existence on earth. In summary, the world is what it is today because aloneness, solitude, meditation is a scarce culture. People jump out of their bed in the morning and rush out into the world and get busy and get tired at night, crawl up into their bed without a moment of aloneness, a moment of solitude, a moment of prospection, reflection in meditation. But many of the world's great leaders, visionaries, successes, change makers had to pass through continuous moments of reflection, continuous moments of solitude in meditation, where they were trained, shaped, and given visions that transformed the world. It is in the place of solitude that we amass our true wealth, enormous enough to transcend and outlast even to our fourth generation. But how often do we practice meditation? How often do we give ourselves to solitude, to reflection, to aloneness? How often? But if you repel aloneness, you will attract loneliness and all its failures that it embeds. We should find time every day to think about our lives. We should. Think about it.